Elon Musk idealistically envisions 1,000 starships leaving Earth every 2 years when Earth has close encounters with Mars to facilitate humanity's first permanent migration to another planet. By all accounts, that scene will certainly be glorious, as if Star Trek has come to life. However, like the moon, there's a dark side to everything. That is, every starship large will be incredibly loud with only around 33 Raptor engines on the super heavy booster. The sound level even from 8 kilometers away will be around 132 decibels. Imagine the average chainsaw and how loud that can get. The closer you get to that starship launch, the more powerful the sound waves become, which can be enough to damage a building or cause bodily harm to you. So the question is, how can we come up with a sound solution? Elon Musk has a great idea. A few years ago, Musk and SpaceX have shared their vision for a future in which spaceports are positioned within convenience and reach of major hubs around the world, making it possible for SpaceX to operate a globe-spanning network of hypersonic point-to-point travel using starships, ferrying people from destinations as far-flung as Beijing to New York in around 30 minutes. So I think probably most of the launch sites long-term will be kind of ocean or seas spaceports. So like baby, you may be located like 20 miles, 30 miles offshore, and that this will allow Starship to connect any cities that are on the ocean or on the sea and have a high flight rate, but without disturbing people too much. And I think people are willing to have something that's about it occasionally, but if you want to have it frequently, that it probably be 3 of offshore. Musk said to realize this in August of 2020, SpaceX bought 2 semi-submersible drilling rigs from Valaris plc for $3.5 million each, in keeping with the lofty goal. They were renamed Deimos and Phobos after the 2 moons of Mars. At that point, Musk explained floating super heavy class spaceports for Mars, Moon, and hypersonic travel all around Earth. The oil rigs are currently located in South Texas at the port of Brownsville, which is close to SpaceX's star-based facility, where Starship is under development after a series of delays from the FAA's environmental assessment on the ground for Starship. This idea seems amazing, but it's worth noting that refurbishing oil rigs will come with an expensive price tag. I hope we don't go bankrupt building them, Musk said via Twitter. Now let's take a look at the progress of SpaceX's oil rigs. It has tried to convert a pair of oil rigs and to see go in Starship spaceports for a couple of years now, but the progress stopped around earlier this year. For almost 1 year now, both of the oil rigs have been sitting in a port in Mississippi. Phobos is the furthest ahead in the early stage of the launch platform development, with a lot of its main equipment removed, while the other rig hasn't had too much work done. There is still a lot that it needs to go through in order to be considered fully operational. SpaceX plans to build a super heavy class launch star that will be capable of supporting the booster as it returns from space. On top of each oil rig, the tower will be similar to the one at the Boca Chica launch pad that is capable of stacking the Starship atop the 230-foot-tall booster. Engineers are aiming to develop a fully reusable Starship/Super Heavy launch vehicle capable of being reused at least 3 times a day. For that purpose, SpaceX will design a launch tower that could quickly catch the booster after it launches the Starship spacecraft to orbit. We're going to try to catch the Super Heavy booster with the launch tower, aren't using the grid fins to take control, Musk said. 2021 that the ocean spaceport damage was under construction for a test launch in 2022. However, given the current situation, it is clear that these platforms are unlikely to be used before late 2023. Nevertheless, there's something inherently appealing about our plan of converting oil rigs, which are symbols of an industry doomed to decline, into bustling spaceports which evoke visions of a futuristic era of easy space travel to the Moon or Mars. And as it turns out, the idea of spinning offshore oil rigs into spaceports is not new. From the 1960s all the way to the 80s, the Luigi Broglio Space Center launched payloads into space from a converted oil platform off the coast of Kenya. The multinational company's Sea Launch converted the mobile drilling rig Odyssey into a launch platform in 1997. Dozens of rockets or blasted payloads to space from Odyssey, along with a few field launches. Florida Department of Commerce considered creating floating spaceports on offshore rigs in 1989, but ultimately decided the approach is too costly in the short run to service the anticipated market. In 1996, a study published in IE Spectrum recommended that Russia marry its agile Soviet rocket design with the best oil platform technology that may provide an altogether new means of getting big satellites into orbit. According to our partner Covert, professor of law at the Scandinavian Institute of Maritime Law, who has extensively researched sea-based launch facilities, as well as their legal and technological implications. What is really new and SpaceX projects is that all other projects launched small satellites into orbit and some suborbital objects objects. Meanwhile, SpaceX is planning to eventually launch missions to the Moon, Mars, and into hypersonic orbit around Earth, some of which would carry humans, which is quite different from earlier projects. Posnan Covert noted if this tantalizing dream were to ever become reality, it would reshape the space sector in a myriad of ways, including causing disturbance and noise or around busy Starship spaceports with cacophonous liftoffs and sonic booms from returning spacecraft. For this reason, among others, SpaceX is experimenting with less disruptive offshore launches and landings. Not only will it limit noise and nuisance to surrounding communities, launching on the water can provide strategic van managers, including minimizing public safety risks, air traffic interference, and so on. Interestingly enough, mobile oil rays can also move easily to new locations tailored to the needs of space missions. They may float or even self-propel and are built to be stable on the water. Of course, SpaceX must have a system allow stabilizing the platform for the launch. They would also need to have some support vessels to ensure initiating and control of the launch. Someone needs to push the button, and it can't be done in immediate proximity to the launch rig. Once the spaceports are operational, they will definitely change the way we travel every day, much like airplanes did. Hopefully that day will be just around the corner. And that's about it for today's episode. And that wrap up today's episode of Underscene, and thank you for watching.